Okay, students. So let's go up with this segment of bootstrapping and lexical analysis. So, in previous sessions, some of previous session, what we have understood is we have seen about the organization of the compiler, and we have seen about the phases of the compiler. Now, let us try to understand in this particular session and subsequent time we will try to put more stress towards the bootstrapping and lexical analysis. Okay, so I am just opening this bootstrapping to you. Now, bootstrapping mechanism means whenever you are trying to write a compiler for a language L, for a language L. L can be any language, and you are writing a compiler for language L. So a compiler is compiling a language and generating a compiler. Means when a compiler is producing a compiler, then that process is called as bootstrapping. I hope it is clear. It is very simple. Say for example, it is very simple. Say for example, I am talking about a language X. I'm talking about a language X. X is a language. And for writing those language construction, I am using Y programming environment. Right? I am using Y programming environment. For example, say, just take a case that I wish to create a C++ programming system. Then I am putting all the related information regarding C++. Like, okay, what are the keywords that are being used by C++? What are the grammar structure? How the expressions are written? How they are being passed? All details. Then the valid set of characters, symbols, everything that I am placing, which is required for a language to be there, right? So in that case, C++ set is ready with me right now. But for C, I have a just organizational structure with free components that are there for C++. But for generating a compiler, I need a C language, say for example. So C language is having its own compiler, and I'm extending C language compiler for C++. So once I am writing, I take all language properties like grammar that is required by a language, then valued symbols that are being required by the language, that is character set, keywords, right? And everything that are required for a particular language. I am taking that, putting it into a unit and compiling that unit using C programming, and which is giving me a compiler for C++. So in that case, C compiler is writing a compiler for C++. So in this case, that is called as bootstrap compiler. Means when one compiler is writing a compiler for other programming language, that is called as bootstrapping. So here we need to work with three languages. A bootstrap compiler has to work with the three languages. One, the source language. Second, the target language, and third is implementation language. Now the source language is C++, target language is C++ target language, right? And the implementation language is C. So it has to work with, like, because the target language means what, in which it is being generated. So definitely a compiler is generated into machine level language, right? So that compiler is being in place, and that compiler will take again C++ program and compile that C++ program and generates the object code. Okay, so source language, we need to work with the three languages. The source language is the language for which you wanted to generate a compiler, that is there. The target language is, okay, if you wanted to write a compiler for C++, then the target language is machine language. So you must understand the machine language also. Then the implementation language is C. So C is the implementation language. Then the bootstrap compiler is being represented into this particular fashion, that is SCINT, which represents the compiler for source language S, with the target language T, which is nothing but the machine, and implemented by I. So this concept is called as bootstrap compiler. And we will spare a different separate time for Bootstrap compilers, which you can understand it into more details. Right now, if you have any questions here, then we can take those questions. We can take those questions here. So yeah, you tell me if there are any questions. Have you got an idea of what exactly a bootstrap compiler means? Bootstrapping means whenever a compiler is generating a compiler for another language, right? So whenever compiler is generating compiler means what? By using an implementation language compiler, you are writing a compiler for the source language. This is called as bootstrapping. Getting me? Is it okay? Yes. So that's fine. So let's come back to the next issue that we will be now going to discuss. Yes, we will be now going to discuss this into more detail. Okay, so let's go for the lexical analysis in brief. Okay, so what we have understood is this is now from this particular point, we will be discussing the lexical analysis into very brief mode. Right, so lexical analysis is the first phase in the program recognition part. The basic responsibility of lexical analyzer is to read the source program and generate the symbols. So for understanding this, it is very simple. Lexical analysis is dealing with the symbols. You need to generate the symbol. Then if the symbols are generated, then two important points, functionalities that lexical analysis has to do. Number one, you need to generate and you need to classify. Generation of token and classification of token. These two are the important responsibilities that lexical analysis has to perform. Now, by token generation, I mean when the program sequence is being supplied as an input to the lexical analysis scans the program from left up to the right bottom and generates symbols. You know, a simple symbol is like, say for example, every character is being considered as one symbol. See, we are not here for what it means. Say for example, here it is not A for apple, it is not the case, right? So we need to define A also as a symbol, B as a also symbol. So any letter which comes, any single character which come or being taken up by the lexical analysis is a symbol itself. Then ultimately the question comes in your mind, okay, if everything is a symbol, then how a group of symbol can be referred again? Because for that you need to understand. Take an example, int is what? Integer. Int stands for keyword. So the group of three symbol referred as an integer. So this as a keyword, so this mechanism is called as classification of the symbols. That a group of three symbols, that is int together, is being referred as keyword. So this is the classification. So generation of token is important and classification of token is also important. Apart from that, you need to maintain a track of the token also, like where that particular symbol is being referred into whole program. So that tracking also you need to generate, you need to maintain. So for generation of the token, the concept is called used is input buffering, and for keeping the track of token, you need to work with the finite automata. So for this particular time, you need to understand that the role of lexical analysis is to read the input characters from the source program and group them into lexemes. It produces the sequence of token for each source lexeme in the source program. Stream of token passes to the syntax analyzer to interact with the symbol table as well. And at the end, once the symbols are being generated, they are being placed into the symbol table as well. So you need to understand these responsibilities. You need to mark these responsibilities with the lexical analyzer. Okay, so let's go back to the next now. So a lexical analysis needs two processes inherent, two processes. One is scanning, and second is performing a complex portion of the work. Right. So scanning means you are scanning it from left top to the right bottom, and you are removing some of the non constructive, non used statements at the time of tokenization. Say for example, your comments need not to be placed into the uh, symbol tables. Only the programming part instructions are to be placed into the symbol table. Then when you are coming across with the more than one line comments, so in that case you need to understand like how it works, right? So simple thing, you can do that. Okay, now here are some key terms which you need to understand. First key term is token. Token is the abstract symbol that you are going to refer. So token is a pair consisting of token name and optional attribute as an value. The token name is an abstract symbol representing a kind of lexical unit that you are referring to. Say for example, a single symbol variable A. A is a simple token, right? A is a simple token and being referred as variable, but R and T together forms a keyword. So this is simple abstract symbol representing the kind of the lexical unit. So definitely there are certain classes that are going to be there in place for referring purpose that we are going to understand in next subsequent slides. Okay, then you need to think about the patterns. Pattern means is a description of the form that the lexeme or token may take. In this case, a keyword is a token. So, but identification of keyword from a stream is identification of patterns. So, for example, you have got a series of symbols all together, but out of that, the substring you need to generate as int. So that pattern, the keyword has to be matched with the string, and to understand that whether that particular keyword is a part of it or not. So that pattern matching you need to do. Then there is a lexeme, that is a sequence of the characters in the source program that matches with the pattern for a token, and it is being identified by the lexical analyzer. If it does, then it is being called as lexemes. So here the case of input buffering starts here. The key point with the input buffering is that it works with the bounded buffer space. Usually it is 4 byte in length, 4 kilobyte in length, 4 kilobyte in length. So 4 KB in length means 4096 byte it is being taken. So so it is 1 into n vector it is being used. So there are two different buffers that are alternatively being taken place, and two pointers are being maintained here. Okay, so we will see the input buffering concept here onto the screen. Okay. Okay, simple. In case of input buffering, what is the concept? Concept is you have a bounded buffer. Say, for example, this is a bounded buffer. This is of 4096 bytes. 4096 byte. Okay, so this is 4096 byte. Mean you can say this is you can take this as a a string, right? Or this can be further being referred as a vector. For better understanding, you have got a vector of size 4096 byte. Okay, if you just refer it as a string, it becomes unbounded space. Unbounded means what? Where the upper bound is not being defined. So this becomes unbounded. Now, for better understanding, you can see that this has a pointer, right? So this vector has a pointer. So this is the start of vector, and you have a look ahead. Next pointer is look ahead. Okay, so you have a start pointer, you have a look ahead pointer. Okay, look ahead pointer, the purpose of look ahead pointer is to search delimiter. Okay, delimiter means a valid punctuation symbol. Delimiter is valid punctuation symbol. It is a valid punctuation symbol. Now, by punctuation symbol, I mean, say for example, blank space, or you can say semicolon, or you can say any other valid punctuation symbol which is being taken for. So this delimiter does not mean any operator, right? Operator is a different class. Say plus operator, minus operator, multiplication, division, and likewise. So it is different. Okay, so you have unbounded buffer space, you have a pointer, look ahead, and look ahead is searching for what? Delimiters. Okay, and delimiters are nothing but valid punctuation symbols. Now, just to understand this, we will see valid punctuation symbol is blank space for us. Now, let us try to understand a simple segment of code. Say, for example, int space a equals to 10. If this is the case, or in simple case, if it is int semicolon a, if this is the statement and your program is being supplied, so what is going to happen? The first symbol which is being generated is I, and it is this I is being read by the lexical analyzer and placed onto a buffer space. Then the time you are first referring to this, the look ahead pointer is searching for what is coming to the next. So when you are at the first position, lexical analyzer scanning process goes for first letter, look ahead search for the next symbol that are lying after the explode symbol. So I is explode, I is placed into the buffer space. Then look ahead is pointing to n, right? So n is being placed onto the buffer space. Now look ahead, the time n is placing onto the buffer place, look ahead is pointing to t. So the time t is being placed onto the buffer space, look ahead pointer is pointing to the space. Now here the case is that once look ahead pointer has got this particular space in the hand into a look ahead pointer, then ultimately the thing which is placed onto a buffer has to be classified. So see the group of symbols you have got R, N, and T. So R and T together is being called as what? Keyword. So means you have generated three symbols R and T all together here. So but R and T is what? Is a keyword class. So the symbol table is being, so symbol table means the symbols that are present on the input buffer is to be classified as keyword class. Getting me? And this is to be, once they are being classified here, we'll say this is classified and as a keyword and being placed into symbol table. Symbol table. So it's being placed into the symbol table. This is simple case. Okay, now, but once this symbol is placed into the symbol table, it is being refreshed. Right? It becomes empty. And look ahead pointer has this white space as delimiter. Now, what is the purpose of look ahead is to search for delimiter. And what is delimiter? White space is a delimiter. So it's search for delimiter. The next punctuation symbol that we have is semicolon. So So once it is being classified, this whole thing is being classified now. What is remained? A. So the time A is being placed, look ahead is pointing to the semicolon. So which means that semicolon is what? Delimiter. So the point which is present into the input buffer has to be classified. Now what is A now in this case? The A answer is A is an identifier. So A is identifier. Okay, this we will reach if this decision will reach if it is not a keyword, if it is not an operator, if it is not a delimiter, then anything which is coming or which is not into a keyword set, not into the set of delimiter, not into the set of operator, then such is called as identifier. So A is identifier and ID is being again placed into the symbol table with respect to the same class. So this is how the input buffer is going to work, right? So the same case goes with like uh, uh, if the segment is say integer main. Okay, if this is the segment, so int is a keyword, this is white space m. So here m goes, look ahead is pointing to a is placed. Next, look ahead, the time a is placed, look ahead is on I. When I is placed, look ahead is on n. Then look ahead is on this. So space, look ahead is on space. So what is going to happen? Space is there. So what is this? MAIN. MAIN is to be classified. So MAIN is being classified as identifier. So this is how the things are going to work, right? So at the closing, we need to understand that how input buffering is going to work with. So look at this particular screen so that you will come to know what has happened here. So with this illustration, you can understand how the input buffering is working. See, it has a bounded buffer space. Bounded buffer space of size 4096 must be a vector. It has two pointer, legs in begin, legs in look ahead, scan till until the pattern match is found. Okay, so it is particularly searching forward. Look ahead is searching for the delimiter to come with. Okay, so this is important, and it updates the symbol table accordingly. So in the next lecture, what we will see, I'll tell you about how what are the different classes that are available and how those classes are being used for classification of the symbol. Till then, if you have any question as such, you mark those questions and we will discuss those questions into the next class.